Today I bring you Poch's perfect 4-2-3-1 that actually went invincible and we won the treble with Chelsea with. So we're doing something quite right here. If you guys are enjoying the tactics so far this year, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, keep commenting below on any future videos you want to see. I always look at the replies and 100% will consider doing them. But let's get into the tactic testing phase. We're going to start with a previous Pochettino team. So first up is going to be Sunderland, obviously in the Sky Bet Championship, who find themselves in this sort of top four battle here with Southampton, Leicester, Leeds and Norwich. I believe they are predicted to finish fourth, and we've come out and won the league, which is really, really good, by 5 points as well over Leicester City. Adam Armstrong, 26 goals and 13 assists. Carlos Alcaraz with a 7.3 highest average rating, which is really good. Jan Bednarek with a 93% pass completion, 121 goals scored and only 23 goals conceded. We also, very impressively, got to the final of the FA Cup, which unfortunately we did play ourselves in because it is on the same game save file, which is a little bit frustrating, but we could have potentially won that if we would have played them separately. So that's a remarkable stat line to be talking about there. Going over to the team stats, we are going to feature in 5 of them, being the most points per game. Obviously, we did win the league. Most goals at 121, quite a fair few more than Leicester, who find themselves in second place. The most shots saw at 791, the fewest goals conceded at 23, which is a lot less than second place Birmingham, and also the most clean sheets coming in at 28. So defensively, we were really, really solid, and we were scoring a lot of goals a game. So doing everything you want the tactic to be doing at the end of the day. 2.63 goals per game, which is really, really good stuff. 0.5 conceded, so very good defensively as well. And what I loved about this sort of style of tactic is it's such a balanced. Balance is probably the perfect word to describe the system. It's not going to go out and score 4 or 5 goals a game, but it is going to get you results, and that's all you need in football, realistically. Just over 17 shots a game at 17.2, a pass completion of 88.26, and a tackle-win ratio coming in of 76.24. We'll go over the current team. That obviously is going to be Chelsea, the team he's managing right now. Obviously having a bit of a ropey season. It's not exactly all his fault necessarily, because he's got a lot of players being brought in. But we had an incredible season, to be honest with you. We won the treble, obviously the Premier League, the FA Cup against Southampton, and also the Carabao Cup against Arsenal. We scored 99 goals and only conceded 28, which, yes, we're not the best of the best at conceding goals. We were third best, but we won the Premier League. It really does not matter that much because we were very good at scoring. Nicholas Jackson, 31 goals across all competitions. Nkunku with the highest average rating across all competitions. And Raheem Sterling and Madueke both contributing 17 assists. Well, it is going to be Badishil with a 94% pass completion. Now, we weren't flawless. We did, lose 4 games, which were going to be against the likes of Everton, Liverpool, Villa, and also Arsenal. So a few defeats in there, but we did win 30 out of a potential 38, which I think's fairly good in my opinion, and obviously the 4 draws as well. Team stat wise, we are going to feature in quite a fair few of them, or actually I say that, about 3 of them. Possession wise, 56% of the ball. I think I did forget to show that. Quite an average stat line, but obviously we're not playing that sort of way, and when you get the likes of Man City, Arsenal that do play that way purely, you're not going to be up there in the top 3. Let's just be realistic. The most goals coming in at 99 joint with Manchester City, so we just about edged that. Most shots for at 654, a fair few more than Manchester City, and also the most points per game coming in at 2.47. Now, obviously, we were second favourites in the clean sheets and third place in the goals conceded, but it was very close, and obviously, again, we haven't got the best back line in the league, let's just be realistic, so I'm not going to complain too much about that at all. Going over to the data hub, we are going to go and have a little look at 2.6 goals per game, a conceded of 0.74, 17.21 shots per game, a pass completion of 87.85, and a tackle-win ratio of 76.47. So again, very similar to the previous save I just went over. It's not going to go out and score 3, 4, 5 goals a game, but it is going to get results. It's very consistent. Consistent and balanced is the theme I'm going to go for. And if we go over to the squad right now, we can go and have a little look at some of the players. We'll go by goals. That's what we love to talk about. Nicholas Jackson, 31. Dennis Nkunku with 29. A great loan season for Lukaku. Bit irrelevant, but we'll discuss it anyway. 16 for Raheem Sterling. Caicedo coming in with 13. Madueke with 12. 11 for Broja. Fernandez coming in with 9 as well. So again, not like necessarily loads and loads of goals coming in, apart from these sort of top 2 players here, but enough to get the job done. And that's all that matters. Assist-wise, very good contributions from these front 3 here. Coming in from Madueke, who had a very good season. 17 for him. 17 for Raheem Sterling. Sterling and Nkunku with 11. Ben Chilwell, fantastic from him. 10 from him. Reece James 10 as well, which is always good to see the fullbacks getting involved and actually contributing towards the season. We love to see that. So overall, probably what you'd expect from a 4-2-3-1 that has this sort of balanced system. A decent amount of goals and assists, not as much as a all-out attack sort of variant, but got the job done. We've got to take it. He didn't though. He also managed Espanyol, and we tested with them and enjoyed a fantastic season. Not as much as, like, the league is obviously a very good accomplishment, but we are predicted to win that anyway. But we also won the Spanish Cup against Real Madrid, so we done the double and beat one of the biggest powerhouses in world football. So we are going to watch them highlights if I remember, because that must have been one hell of a final. We scored 106 league goals, conceded only 37. It's going to be Javier Puado coming in with 20 goals, Braithwaite picking up the highest average rating, and Nico Melamed picking up 15 assists. Now, again, very similar to the previous one. It wasn't an invincible season, but we won it quite significantly over Elche, so we're going to take that any day of the week. Stat-wise, we are going to feature in a fair few of them. That is going to be 4. Possession-wise, again, 55%, so an average, a rule of thumb, would be around 55 to 56% of the ball is what you can expect with this system. Going over to the fewest shots against at 276, the most shots for at 692, the most goals at 106, a lot more than Tenerife, and also the most points per game at 2.41. Of course, going over to the data hub, we need to have a look. 2.59 goals per game, the most we've conceded so far at 0.9, which is still way under a goal a game, so we've not got to start worrying just yet. Shots per game, quite a good stat line, 16.88, a 76.46 tackle win ratio, and an 88% pass completion. And lastly, the powerhouse of the video, that is going to be PSG, where we actually did go completely invincible in the league, winning 29 and drawing the other 5 games, but also we won the quadruple, so it had to be in the video. The Champions League against Bayern, the French Cup against Monaco, and a Trophy de Champion against Toulouse. A very, very good season. 123 goals scored. Now, obviously, we are going to outperform the rest of the sort of teams in this video with PSG because they are PSG. Only 14 goals conceded, 0 red cards. Kolo Mani, one of the best players I've used so far this year. Absolutely incredible in the game with 43 goals, outscoring Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe picking up the highest rating, though. It's going to be Marco and Dembele, joint top assisters, and also Donnarumma, a 96% pass completion. You can't really complain about that. And going over to the stat lines, again, 57% of the ball, so 55 to 57% is going to be your typical stat line with this tactic. The fewest conceded, we dominated that. We dominated the most clean sheets, of course, very good defensively. The fewest shots against at 164, the most shots for at 771, the most goals at 123, nearly getting on for double of Monaco's, and also the most points per game at 2.71, where, to be honest, there was no competition. We absolutely obliterated this division. Going over to the data hub, 3.62 goals per game and 0.41 conceded. So for those that do play as the big teams, or maybe you built up a team to this level, you're going to take over your football. You're going to take over the footballing world with this tactic. You really are. Over 22.6 shots a game, which is remarkable in itself, an 88.66 pass completion, and a tackle win ratio of 76.92. It really is a Mr. Do-It-All tactic. We've really got cooking with this Chelsea team, especially when you're playing a team like Leicester, but I wanted to show you a game with lots of goals, and this was one of the few, because as I said again, you're not going to go out and score sort of 4 or 5 goals a game that often with this tactic, but this game we absolutely tore apart Leicester in the semi-finals, get to the final of the FA Cup. A very lively start there to go 2-0 up inside of 25 minutes. Enzo Fernandez, well, come on, kick it out of play for the poor guy, but we do get a goal clearly. Enzo Fernandez going down the right-hand side, bit of a lucky sort of rebound there, but the end of it, I mean, no one's even going to look at the teammate. What is going on there? Awful from the Chelsea boys. As we go again with Fofana, Enzo again. A little bit of a scrappy game this by the looks of it. Badashil driving by himself, and yeah, it's a very scrappy game. Leicester clearly not really focused on their job, as Jackson goes again down the right-hand side into Nkunku, who has enough time to pitch a tent, to be honest. No one marking him, no one putting any pressure on him, and one more goal coming in from the right-hand side here. Matheson, who's going to play it across into Broja. That's a beautiful goal. A London derby action here, obviously against West Ham, a 6-1 win at home as well, and we got off to such a good start with Madueke just driving through everyone. And I want you to actually pay attention right now. The goals of this game, the importance of having a run-up defence on. Honestly, when you see some of the goals we scored, the way that they just drive at the opposition, so this is a good example here. Caicedo just runs at everyone, cuts to the right, and yes, he does get lucky with the finish, but just having that run-up defence on sometimes changes a team from being somewhat average to really being everything. And the goals we were scoring were individual quality all the time, and it was just really good to see, especially a team like Chelsea, who, you know, do get a bit of stick for their forward play sometimes, them actually having the confidence to play like this. So it is really good to see. Obviously, we do concede a goal here from Kurt Zouma, a great ball in from Ward-Prowse as well, but of course, we bounce back and we carry on going. Madueke into Nkunku. Good little 1-2 there, back into Madueke, across into Nicholas Jackson. And of course, there is another goal to come that is going to be from Nkunku. Sterling, who's going to, again, take it past Alvarez, running at everyone. A ball over the top, a great touch, and a great finish. Now, of course, over to your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactical breakdown. If you're enjoying so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I want to take a quick second to thank all of the wonderful names coming down on the screen right now. There are over 1,800 people now that have joined the Patreon, and you need to get involved. You can do so by clicking the link in the description below, where you gain over 10 perks, including access to all 3 of the tactics on display today. You also get early video and tactic release. You get one-on-one tactical help. You get priority in the rebuild and tactic requests. I tweak your saves, give you tips, and also you automatically get enrolled in to that giveaway, which was once monthly, now usually twice. So definitely come over and just join the gang, really. Have a good time. But let's talk about the player roles first of all then. So we are going to start off with a sweeper keeper, who is simply going to be on the default instruction. You very rarely see me get too experimental with a player like this, and definitely not in this Pochettino team. The wing back on the right is going to have a fair few instructions. He's going to be on support on sit narrower, close down more, and also tackle harder. Next to him is going to be a ball playing defender on dribble more and also tackle harder. And next to him, that is going to be exactly the same. Now, I will say, if you're not playing with a team like Chelsea, or you're playing as a real low down team, such, you know, like a Luton or a real low English tier division team, it might be worth not having dribble more on, because if your defenders they're not very good on the ball, it's probably going to cost you a lot more than what it is actually going to benefit you. So that's definitely something to bear in mind. The wing back on the left is going to be the same as the right. So a wing back on support, on sit narrower, close down more, and also tackle harder. Going over to the midfield, we've got a DM on the right, on support, on shoot less often, and also tackle harder. So a very risk-free midfield player there, because next to him, we've got a very aggressive player who is going to be a Volante, on attack, on dribble more, shoot less often still, because I don't want him to have just endless shots at the goal, and also move into channels. And by the default, he's also going to get further forwards. The left-hand side is going to be an inside forward on attack, on roam from position, and also tackle harder. And on the right-hand side is going to be an inverted winger, on roam from position, and also tackle harder. Now, I'll give it as a little tip. I'm not opposed. I probably should have done it as well with Chelsea, but if you have got a player that has got a cracking shot on the wing, you could add shoot more often on the side of your choice, just as a little tip. In the middle is going to be a shadow striker on the default, and to finish it off is going to be that pressing forward simply on the default too. So not too complicated, a very attacking 4-2-3-1, but it's not too bad defensively at all. It scores goals, and it's beautiful football. What more can you want? Over to then team instructions, a vital part of any tactic. It's going to be based off a custom tiki-taka style on the positive mentality. It's going to be standard with the attack and width. It's going to be pass into space with the approach play. We saw that in the highlights, although we were doing short pass, and when there was a great ball on, we were not afraid to go long with it at all. We're going to overlap left and overlap right. We've got 2 ball playing defenders and 2 very progressive fullbacks, so we are going to play out from the back. It makes sense to do so. The directness is going to be set to shorter, and the tempo is going to be set to slightly higher. We're going to run at defence, as I mentioned in the highlights. I really noticed the impact on having that on with this Chelsea team, so definitely a heads up for you there. And we are also going to go with mixed crosses in the final third. In transition, there's going to be a few instructions, that is for certain. Counter press, counter, distribute to the centre backs and the full backs, all while taking short goal kicks. Now, again, this option down here is very down to you what you want to do. You could leave it blank, so there's a mixture of rolling it out and taking short goal kicks, but I just always have favoured the short goal kicks over it, to be honest. Lastly, out of possession, of course, we are going to deploy that high press and line of engagement alongside of the standard defensive line. The trigger press is going to be maxed out, so the very aggressive tactic. Again, for those of you that are, you know, worried about getting injuries or your players not being fit enough, they're being tired, rotate, train, and rest. Do them 3 things, you'll be completely fine to play a system as aggressive as this. We're going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and we're going to get stuck in. That's the default variant. Stick around for the other 2. because trust me, it's worth having them. Of course, we had a fair few finals to play with this tactic. The first one, real big one, is going to be the Champions League. Obviously, against Bayern Munich, a very tough team to face, and we made complete light work of them in the final. To be honest with you, a very positive start into Soler. Now he's going to drive it back into Marco, ball in the middle, into Vitinha, and it looks easy, but it's not easy. We're just making it look that easy because we're this good. We really are. Mbappe out wide now into Vitinha, who's going to drive at everyone across into Marco. The job's done before half time. Got to show you this game. Obviously, that cup final against Real Madrid. You can see here the team they played. It's a very, very strong team. A lot better than the team that we had being put out. But I tell you what, fair play. It wasn't a pretty game, we'll be honest with you. Obviously, you know, we didn't dominate, let's just say that. But quite a scrappy start from Real Madrid, but we're not going to complain. A great start for us. Obviously, Real Madrid aren't just going to sit back and take it. They bounce back quite, you know, not early on, but in a bit of a worrying stage of the game right towards the end, and they lose it right at the end again. 95th minute to a penalty. Bitter for Madrid. As always, we're now going to go over an attacking and a defensive variant. Again, Patrons can get all these free in one simple download. It's a lot quicker, but obviously I do leave them in the videos so you can copy them click for click and save them on your own save. So the attacking variant is designed to attack, go out and obviously score goals if you're a goal down, or maybe you're going into a second leg of a cup game and you need to get off to an attack and start right away. The goalkeeper remains the same. The wing back on the right is going to have a few more instructions now. And I will say it's exactly the same for the left and the right, so I'll go over it once. That's going to be a wing-back on support, on dribble more, run wide, sit narrower, close down, and also tackle harder. So they do get a few more instructions, so the dribble more is really the key one to really get them wing-backs involved, get them attacking, and get them progressing up the field as much as humanly possible. Two ball-playing defenders who, again, are going to be exactly on the same, so the dribble more is going to remain, which you probably would expect in an attacking tactic. We then opt for two volantes. The attacking one on the left, obviously, remains exactly the same, and the second one gets introduced as simply shoot less often and also tackle harder. A real big fan of this double volante in the game. Yes, it's very attacking, but I can't stress this enough. This is an attacking variant. I wouldn't recommend you going into every game like this, but there are some games where you need to go in this way if you're a goal down in a cup game, or it's the perfect thing to have in your locker for when you go a goal down in a game and you need to go back and try and get an equaliser, or you simply want to push for a win. On the right-hand side, we are going to go with the inverted winger on run from position and tackle harder. And on the left-hand side, an inside forward on run from position and also tackle harder. The shadow striker remains unchanged alongside of an unchanged pressing forward. But again, if you have got a striker who has got ridiculous finishing, a Harry Kane, for example, I would honestly go with shoot more often as well. Instruction-wise, the mentality obviously is going to be upped to attacking from positive to attacking, pass into space, overlap left, overlap right, play out from the back, still the shorter passing directness, still with a slightly higher tempo, but the real big change is now going to be not only the run at defence, but also the addition of being more expressive to really get the most out of these players, let them attack, let them have, you know, that creative spirit in them, because at the end of the day, we're trying to score goals. Transition, I'm going to keep it a buck, keep it very quick. The only change is going to be distribute quickly. And lastly, out of possession, there are a couple of changes. The real change is going to be that high defensive line, match with the get stuck in, a really bit of aggressive football, much more often on the trigger press. We're still going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution because we have got a pressing forward, and also that high press line of engagement. So a much more of an aggressive tactic where the whole team is almost pushed up the field a little bit, but that's what you got to do when you're trying to score goals. Of course, the defensive variant, one to take into your games if you're playing as a real low down team. This could easily be used to go into them sort of games, or maybe you are trying to defend a game out as a big team or sort of mid-table team. So it has two uses. This very good tactic, I will say, to use as an underdog team. Sort of like, I can see this being used for sort of like someone like a West Ham, a Fulham, something like that would be a great example of teams that you could use this with. But also, obviously, just to see a out game would also work. A super keeper is going to be on the default. The wing backs are going to be very basic because I don't want them to be that attacking minded. Hence why they're going to not have any dribble more on. They're not going to be told to run wide. They're simply both going to be on the default. The ball playing defenders go back to being completely defaulted now because I don't want them dribbling more, or also I don't want them tackling harder, going out and putting challenges in. We're a lot more complacent now, a bit more of a tame team that sort of just looks to sit back and just, you know, win the ball back at our own leisure sort of vibe. In the midfield is going to be a DM on support, on shoot less often and also tackle harder. And next to him, a ball-winning midfield player comes in on support on shoot less often. So as you can notice already, a much more of a defensive-minded 4-2-3-1, that is for sure. On the right-hand side is going to be an inverted winger on support, on roam from position, and also tackle harder. And the inside forward on the left is also from roam from position and tackle harder. So the only real change is them obviously being from attacking to a supportive duty now. In the midfield, no shadow striker. It's going to be an AP, an advanced playmaker, simply on the default, and the pressing forward remains unchanged in all three variants. And lastly, the team instructions for the defensive variant. The mentality is going to be on balanced. That is balanced. We're going to go with pass into space with the approach play. We're going to play out from the back because we've still got the ball playing defenders in there. We're going to go with much shorter when it comes to the directness, a slightly lower tempo, run at defence, and also mixed crosses. Transition, the only change is going to be instead of distributing the ball quickly when we are trying to chase a game, now we're trying to defend a game, slow the pace down. But of course, if you are playing this tactic with all of your games, do not have this selected. Lastly, a much more of a relaxed and complacent out of possession, not as aggressive, standard defensive line, the high press and line of engagement, standard on the trigger press, and of course the prevent short goalkeeper distribution, because we still have that pressing forward. And that's still complete for you guys, 3 variants of Poch's 4-2-3-1. I know Chelsea might not be doing the best of the best in real life at the moment, but it's been such a highly requested video right from day one. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and obviously just because they're not doing that well in real life, the tactic still cooks in game. So definitely give it a whirl and let me know in the comments how you thought, what it done for you, etc, etc. And also, if you want to leave a comment on your favourite manager or a tactic you want to see, be sure to leave them right below. Leave a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are enjoying the content. And I'll see you boys in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.